I never thought my ordinary Thursday evening would turn into a crazy encounter that would make me question the safety of rideshare services. It all started when I summoned an Uber to take me home after a long day at work. Little did I know that this ride would become a harrowing experience that would stay with me long after the night was over. As I stepped out of the office building, I noticed the city lights shimmering in the distance. The air was crisp and the streets were alive with the hustle and bustle of people rushing to their destinations. My Uber app pinged, indicating that my ride had arrived. I looked around and spotted a silver sedan pulling up to me, the driver gesturing for me to hop in. The driver seemed like any other typical rideshare chauffeur, middle-aged, dressed in a clean polo shirt and wearing a friendly smile. I greeted him and settled into the back seat, expecting a routine journey home. The car's interior was dimly lit, the soft hum of the engine creating a soothing background noise. The initial part of the ride was uneventful. The driver engaged in polite small talk, asking about my day and sharing a few anecdotes of his own. I felt at ease, enjoying the familiar sights passing by as we navigated through the city. However, that comfort began to unravel as the minutes ticked away. The first sign that something was off occurred when the driver's demeanor shifted. His friendly chatter transformed into an uncomfortable silence, broken only by the occasional flicker of streetlights. I glanced at him through the rearview mirror, noticing a change in his expression. His eyes, once warm and inviting, now bore into mine with an unsettling intensity. The atmosphere in the car grew tense as his questions took an unexpected turn. What started as harmless inquiries about my day morphed into probing personal queries. He asked about my relationship status, my preferences, and whether I was looking for someone special. I nervously laughed off his prying questions, attributing them to awkward attempts at conversation. As the ride continued, the driver's behavior escalated from intrusive to downright creepy. He began complimenting my appearance in a way that made my skin crawl. The once well-lit streets now seemed to darken with each passing block, amplifying the unease that settled in the pit of my stomach. A flicker in the mirror, a heartbeat too long. That's all it took for the hairs on my neck to stand on end. He suggested that we should go out for a drink, claiming he knew a place nearby. I declined politely, stating that I just wanted to get home, but he persisted, his insistence turning into an unsettling pressure that left me on edge. As my apartment building came into view, relief washed over me. I eagerly anticipated escaping the confines of the car and putting an end to this unnerving journey. However, the driver had other plans. Ignoring my repeated refusals, he parked the car and turned to face me, his gaze now devoid of any pretense. With a sinister smile, he asked, "How about a date right here, right now?" Panic gripped me as I fumbled for my phone to end the ride. His tone grew more menacing, and the once comforting hum of the engine now felt like a sinister backdrop to the nightmare unfolding. Summoning every ounce of courage, I firmly rejected his advances and demanded he let me out. The air inside the car hung heavy with tension, and my heart pounded in my chest. The driver, realizing I wouldn't be swayed, reluctantly unlocked the doors. I wasted no time. I practically leaped out of the car and sprinted towards my apartment building. The echo of my footsteps reverberated in the silent night as I fumbled with my keys, desperately unlocking the door to safety. Fear gnawed at me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of his eyes still lingering on my back. Safe inside my apartment, I barricaded the door and took a moment to catch my breath. The harrowing encounter left me shaken, questioning the trust I had placed in rideshare services. As I recounted the events, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had faced similar unsettling rides. The incident served as a stark reminder that safety should never be taken for granted, even in the most mundane aspects of daily life. From that night on, I approached rideshare services with a newfound caution, the memory of that eerie ride forever etched in my mind. The night had a quiet, eerie feel to it as I stood on the dimly lit street, my phone screen casting a faint glow on my face. The Uber app confirmed that my ride had arrived, and I spotted the car pulling up to the curb. A black sedan, neat and inconspicuous, much like any other Uber vehicle. I hopped in, greeted by a friendly smile from the driver. "Hi there, I'm Dave, ready to head to your destination?" he said, his voice warm and reassuring. I nodded, settling into the back seat, eager to get home after a long day. The engine hummed to life, and we began our journey into the night. As we merged into traffic, everything seemed ordinary. Dave chatted amicably about the weather and local events, creating a casual atmosphere. But soon, a strange tension filled the air. Dave's demeanor shifted. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror, his eyes reflecting an odd glint. "I'm feeling funny," he mumbled, his grip on the steering wheel tightening. I couldn't quite grasp what he meant, but before I could react, his laughter echoed in the confined space of the car. It was unsettling, a bizarre departure from the friendly driver I had initially encountered. My unease grew as Dave's driving took a turn for the worse. He veered onto the sidewalk, claiming it was an Uber lane. I clenched the edges of my seat, the streetlights outside flickering past in a blur. The cityscape became a disorienting backdrop to this surreal nightmare. "What's happening?" I stammered, my words barely audible over Dave's unsettling laughter. He ignored me, his eyes fixed on some invisible amusement only he could perceive. Panic set in as he careened onto the highway off-ramp, heading the wrong way. The headlights of oncoming traffic bore down on us, creating a chaotic scene of impending disaster. Horns blared, and I shouted for Dave to stop, but he seemed impervious to reason. We became a twisted, dangerous oddity against the flow of vehicles. Fear clenched my heart as we dodged cars, narrowly escaping collisions. Each passing moment intensified the terror. I fumbled for my phone, desperately contemplating dialing 911. But before I could make a move, the flashing red and blue lights of a police car appeared in the rearview mirror. A surge of relief washed over me as the police closed in, their siren piercing through the night. Dave's erratic laughter persisted, an unpleasant soundtrack to the unfolding chaos. The police cruiser pulled alongside us, urging Dave to stop. Miraculously, he complied, and the blaring sirens came to a momentary halt. As the officers approached, Dave's behavior escalated to an unprecedented level of insanity. He flung open the car door and sprinted down the highway, shedding his clothes in a frenzied display. The sight was both bizarre and disturbing, a stark contrast to the initial normalcy of the evening. Confused and shaken, I provided a bewildered account of the events to the police. It wasn't until later that the pieces of this horrifying puzzle fell into place. A previous passenger had spiked Dave's water with drugs, sending him into a nightmarish episode that put both our lives at risk. The revelation left me with a lingering sense of vulnerability. The ordinary act of taking an Uber had morphed into a surreal ordeal, a reminder of the unpredictability that lurks beneath the surface of seemingly routine experiences. It was a night I would never forget, a cautionary tale echoing the dangers that could unfold in the most unexpected places. And as I reflected on that harrowing ride, I couldn't shake the chilling realization that danger could be just a ride away, concealed within the veneer of everyday life. The night was dark, the kind of dark that wraps around you like a thick blanket, suffocating the city lights. I was cruising through the empty streets in my car, the hum of the engine blending with the silence of the night. The glow of neon signs flickered in the distance, promising a nightlife that I was about to get an unexpected taste of. That's when the notification pinged on my phone, another Uber ride request. The destination, a strip club. Seemed like just another typical night in the city. Little did I know this ride was about to take a bizarre turn. I pulled up to the curb and there he was, a stumbling figure waving at me with unsteady enthusiasm. He opened the door and collapsed into the back seat. The smell of alcohol hit me like a ton of bricks. This guy was not just drunk, he was on another level. "Hey man, heading to the Gold Rush, let's make it snappy," he slurred, the words escaping his lips like a poorly rehearsed play. I nodded, not that he could see it, and started the journey to the Gold Rush strip club. The guy in the back seat seemed to have the energy of a child on too much sugar. He couldn't stop talking about his big plans for retirement. "I'm telling you, I'm done with the rat race, gonna retire super early," he exclaimed, his words a messy jumble. "And you know what I'm gonna do? Make sausages, my man, the best damn sausages you've ever tasted." I chuckled at the randomness of his dream. "Sausages, huh? That's cool. What got you into that?" He leaned forward, his breath a cocktail of booze and regret. You see, making sausages is an art. It's like creating magic with meat. I got all these tools, spices, and meats lined up. It's gonna be epic. As we drove through the deserted streets, his excitement was contagious. I found myself genuinely interested in this intoxicated stranger's sausage-making adventures. But then, as if flipping a switch, the tone of the conversation took an unexpected twist. "You know," he said with an eerie seriousness, "you should never trust someone who knows how to make sausage. It's a dangerous skill. People can disappear, you know." I glanced at him through the rearview mirror, a chill running down my spine. "Disappear? What do you mean?" He leaned back, his eyes narrowing as if he was about to share a dark secret. "Making someone vanish is easy when you know the art of sausage making. You grind them up, mix them with spices, and poof, they're gone, forever." My heart sank. Was this guy for real? I couldn't shake the feeling that his drunken ramblings were taking a sinister turn. I kept my eyes on the road, my mind racing with paranoid thoughts. We drove in silence for what felt like an eternity. The once lively chatter had now dissolved into an uncomfortable hush. I stole a glance at him, and he was staring out of the window, lost in his thoughts. Just when I thought the bizarre monologue had ended, he broke the silence with a chilling statement. "You know, if someone knows too much about sausage making, they might not want witnesses. It's a dangerous game, my friend." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Panic set in as my mind raced through every crime drama scenario I had ever seen. Was I about to become an unwitting victim of this man's sausage-making fantasies? We arrived at the Gold Rush strip club, the neon lights casting an eerie glow on the scene. I pulled to a stop, my heart pounding in my chest. The drunk passenger turned to me, his gaze intense. "Just remember what I told you, buddy. Sausages can make things disappear," he said with a cryptic smile. He stumbled out of the car, leaving me in a cloud of uncertainty. As I watched him disappear into the neon-lit night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped a bizarre and potentially dangerous encounter. To my surprise, the night took an unexpected turn. While I sat there thinking about what had just happened, the drunk sausage enthusiast returned, slipping 5 crumpled-up $20 bills into my hand. "Thanks for the ride, my man. Enjoy the night," he said with a wink before disappearing into the strip club. I sat there bewildered and counting my unexpected windfall. The bizarre encounter left me questioning reality, wondering if I had just narrowly avoided becoming a missing person in the dark world of sausage making. As I drove away from the Gold Rush, I couldn't shake the feeling that the night had taken a strange detour into the unknown. The city lights flickered in the rearview mirror, and I couldn't help but glance back, half expecting the sausage enthusiast to reappear in the shadows. And that, my friends, is the story of the night I drove an Uber for a retiree with a peculiar passion for sausages. A tale that still haunts my late-night thoughts, reminding me that sometimes reality can be stranger than fiction.